Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 28th of July to the 3rd of August. I have to change that. First, for the video that, look, I don't have that bad of it. It's not good, I don't think. And their Japan Sinks video was definitely better. I did enjoy that one more. But I wanted to mention this only because it's kind of confusing what's going on with Digibro and Digi-nee at the moment. Just to talk about it, I guess. The video itself is just kind of a rant, or just feels like a rant. And a comment that I saw somebody in one of the other discords that were talking about this, they mentioned how this video is just Digi's weird anime sex video, which I disagree with. It's very much not. The weird anime sex one is very much more abstract and written, like very much written, and it feels like there's more of a sharpness to it. And of course, Davu's editing is much more bombastic and engaging. Not that the editing in this is poor, and I don't think the justifications that they're making or the arguments they're making are that bad either. This just kind of feels like a rant. And rants aren't inherently bad either. But I wanted to talk about it, and I don't really want to say it was decent because it was really not much. And I could just be talking about their other video that, I thought was okay. But I don't have really much anything to say about that one. This does feel really just like cashing in on the Uzaki-chan controversy, and obviously it's sort of working for them. It is just kind of a views generator a little bit. But it's a weird period with Digibro and Digi-nee, the channel, where it's now both of if you're wondering what I thought Digi changed their name to Digi-nee and came out as trans. They're still trans, and they haven't recovered the moniker. It's just now that May has reclaimed the Digibro moniker, and now she's Digibro, and Digi-nee is Digi-nee. Although so is May also trans and is a guy now? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be insulting at all. The messaging has been very confusing, is what I've been trying to communicate with this. It's me kind of asking what's really going on, and I think that the work really could just speak for itself. Personally, I'm looking forward to the big script, I guess, that Digi-nee handed to Digibro to perform and to edit. So I guess like the actual crafting of the videos is May, and the writing of it is Gray, which I think is how Digi is calling themselves at the moment in real life. I'm sorry if I'm being somewhat insensitive to this, and I'm not like I really need to get you know what I mean. This is just kind of coming from an outsider perspective, I guess. But it's fine. I think I guess I could technically it's decent. There's one video that I thought was a little bit worse or whatever, but like in the grand scheme of things, but it's fine. But it's just kind of like confusing. I don't really know what to make of this. If you could let me know, I guess. I don't know. But don't take the not good thing as like a demonized, not Monica. It's like it's not a big deal. I just wanted to comment on it to start with, because it was like, okay, what's going on? Because I care about you guys' content and how you guys are doing, because I like you guys and what you make, and I'm just interested, I guess. So yeah, that's just such a question, I suppose. I don't know. Sorry if it's very aimless and not a very weak way to start this week. But yeah, I guess that's how I'm starting it. What it be? I want to talk about this video from Kawaiiecchi. I don't think I've talked about their channel before. The biggest flexes in anime history and whatever. But I think it's very confusing to what what he's making here. And I like some of the perspectives, and he had kind of a different take about the Death Note movie and what he liked about it. Um, and also just, I don't know, praising some things like the ending with Weathering with You and how he thinks that was the kind of the biggest flex. Um, but that the direction of the video is very chaotic and hard to follow, and it's like, wait, so what is this video trying to do? What is it? What is its goal? The messaging is very muddled. I think it has a structure, but I don't. The structure is very loose. It's kind of and the last third of the video is they talk about how important the budget is, and it's like, that's not the most accurate thing to be talking about. Where it's like, I'm almost positive that Kill la Kill, which is something he points out as a very positive example of an anime with a budget and has their shit together. I don't know if Kill la Kill necessarily has a bigger budget. There really isn't any. There are some cases where an anime is particularly expensive, and it's not because of how good the animation looks. Oftentimes, it kind of is, but it has to do with time. And you mentioned this in the video. It's like the less time they have to crunch and everything. But every anime is different, and there's no correlation and causation to budget, I don't believe. And like, I don't think Kill la Kill's budget is all that singular as like this one had a good budget or whatever. I don't necessarily think so. I mean, especially because it was kind of taking a risk being a relatively new studio at the time, doing an original anime. Happened to be successful because it has a pedigree behind it, and obviously a very strong artistic vision. And it happened to go well, but I don't know if it being expensive or anything like that. I mean, you could have talked about like Royal Space Force and how that one was a lot of money because they took a lot of time on it, and there was a big promotional campaign for it, and those things. There is a money conversation to be had, but I don't know if it's one for one correlation with quality exactly. I just thought it was very narrow-minded, but I could there's the whole vibe of the video because just feels like they're very much an outsider and they're kind of a beginner, or I hesitate to say newbie, but it's a bit noobish, I suppose. A lot of the video feels that way, but like there's still a very much of a direction and like a really wanting to say something and care about this medium in general, and I like that. And that did come through. So it's not a complete L, but this is I struggle to put it in decent, quote unquote. And I know there's a video. I'll talk about this a little more later, but I may as well say it now in case I forget. But if you don't know, the whole impetus for AniTube Digest came from Anthony Fantano and his weekly track roundup, where he talks about about a lot of the songs that he listened to that week, the new singles, and he categorizes them in worst, meh, and best. And that is completely where I take from, even though decent is more positively skewed because I wanted this to be more constructive and more positively skewed overall. But it's in the same structure as weekly track roundup because it creates a through line. And I think everyone knows that it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to be objective. But it's like it's just for the flow of the video that I'm structuring it this way. I could make these alphabetical order or by order of like length or something, but I just think it's more compelling to go through this way, I suppose, and be a little more amorphous with the ordering and stuff. That's just how I like to do it. And there's other problems, I guess, potentially with Digest for sure, but it is still it's still something I want to make. I don't know. I'll obviously talk more about it later when that video comes up, but I just wanted to mention it now before I forget. But anyway, Kawaiiecchi's video, it's something. I like the chaotic nature to it in the way that like you really don't know what he's going to talk about next. It's compelling in that way. I didn't find it boring or irritating to sit through, at all. But it's definitely not. It's rocky, is what I would like. Is what I think I'll describe it as. I think it was kind of rocky. Um, so not good is a very negative quantifier, I suppose. But I'm putting it here because I there's things about it. There's again, I don't think you would say, because a lot of it is coming from your personal perspective, and I don't know if there's any objectionable wrong things. No, that's not how it. I'm not like angry at it or something. And I think that a lot of that comes from how you approach the video tonally. Although you do bring up some of the in between, like he's like, well, you get results like this, and he shows a bunch of famous in betweens that have nothing to. That's not. You're ignoring the he has like the Sasuke thing with him, his head going like this, and it's like, yeah, that shot is not meant to be seen in isolation. It's meant to be seen in a sequence of images that create animation that make it more dynamic and powerful. And you're just taking and that's a lot of it. And yes, some of the images you're talking from, like DBZ, Super 5, Dragon Ball Super episode 5, some of those shots and stuff, yeah, they don't look great. But there's circumstances to it, and you really can't. It's a very bigger, more pragmatic, I think might be the better word, pragmatic situation that it's going through. You can't. Anyway, but it's coming from a lot of newcomer perspectives, and that's kind of where I was feeling it pretty much. Kind of rocky and not great, but I wanted to talk about it because it piqued the thumbnail and the title kind of piqued my interest. So I was like, all right, let's check this out. So yeah, that's kind of what I saw. But yeah, check it out for yourself. And that's another thing I really want to clarify. I don't feel like I need to clarify it. I leave all the videos in a playlist for you to watch, and I don't think I've ever discouraged anyone from watching a video. I don't think I've ever said, don't watch this video, stay away from it or something. I don't think I've ever once implied that. I've obviously given my take of it being like crap, and this it's not crap, right? I'm playing softball with these videos this week. But I've never made it out to be like these are objectionably horrible or something like that, and you should not watch them, they're dangerous or something, or objectionable. You know what I mean? We're all creators doing our own thing, and we're not necessarily trying to impress anybody, including myself. We're just trying to capture an audience and inspire people and entertain people and educate people. And sometimes it's not done well, and sometimes it's done really well, and that's the nature of this. It's an art. Anyway, that got a lot deeper than I thought it would be right off the bat. I don't know. I just felt like in the right mood to talk about it at this moment. So I hope you saw that, whoever I'm subtweeting right now, which, like, obviously I'll get more into it later and whatever. Anyway. But let's go talk about some videos that I thought were decent. First, we got a TazerLad video that I saw. This seems kind of up his alley, where he finds this niche or this particular idea and then expounds it upon a couple semi-popular shows. He's gotten a couple viral hits out of this. It feels like in the same wheelhouse, I guess. But I like the concept. Baseball in non-baseball anime, featuring BennettTheSage as class and Dorohedoro. And I think his analysis here was pretty sound. And I liked that he didn't outright compare them to each other and their effectiveness or whatever, because they're going for different things. And the point of the video is to show that it's using the same subject matter of baseball and telling different ideas and different stories with it. And that's the same thing with a lot of other sports things. And it's like you just take a very subject matter and you're telling subjective ideas, not subjective, but like ambiguous. You're basically taking the objective subject of baseball, and then you're using it to flesh out a character or an idea, or a dynamic or something like that. And I like that a lot. The three examples were pretty like two of them are very modern, of course, but like not like not like expected, like tired, because like I feel like a video like this, I think a very surface level pick would have been the Samurai Champloo episode, Because that's kind of one of those, like, even their baseball or random baseball or whatever. But no, I felt like these were good picks, and I liked the analysis in all of them. Even though I'd only seen Ass Class out of the three, and that was when it came out years ago. So I was like, I don't remember. I remember there was a baseball, but I didn't remember like what the deal of it was. But I liked that, and he had pretty sound analysis to it. There's not much else to it for me, but I liked that. And yeah, there's other episodes to it, so it's like you could do even more with this, but I get it as just kind of a one-off thing. But I liked that. Yeah, it was good shit. I watched Explanation Point's ReZero video, the incel hero, ReZero as the ultimate otaku horror, and the thumbnail is not very flattering. It's like, man, I saw someone actually tweet this, and I did agree with it, where it's like, man, you couldn't have made me want to click on the video less. It's true. It's like, man, oh god. But the actual, I get why you used this particular image of the sad crying kind of troll face image from Macro from 2009. Macro might not be the right word, but fuck it. Because he uses it a lot in the video to really push this idea of this lonely otaku guy being forced into a situation where has to make himself a better person. Kind of what ReZero is going for, essentially. And I thought it was all right. The analysis seemed pretty fair and not overly obnoxious. I don't think he was not as jokey in this one in terms of the script. I think it's better when he's relegating his humor to the editing and having some subtle jokes and cleverness in there rather than the script, because I feel like he bogs himself down a lot. That happened a lot in his summer video. Was very like, ugh, you know what I mean? And that was a lot of the script trying to be funny rather than the editing. As well as, the editing is always trying to be funny, but I liked that balance a lot better. And it seemed a little more introspective, I guess, because he said he was coming from someone who was similar in this position. Was kind of similar to Subaru, and he's like, I could have seen myself in that tracksuit 5 years ago, something like that. Which is good to hear from him in terms of like, like good to hear you're in it's not like that, right? But more like it's good to hear yourself in this and not like taking a objectivist like separating yourself from the subject, I guess. It felt like there was a little more personal, tangible stake to it, and what he was saying was coming from personal experience, and it's like what they might be feeling in this way. It gave some weight to it, I guess. So I think that was good, a good move on him. And the editing was not very obnoxious this time. I felt like there was a flow to it. There were certain motifs he was using and keeping on one image when usually he does the thing where he's flashing an image and it represents something. And then it's like for every single thing that he says. And it can be really obnoxious sometimes and very like predictable, I guess, in a way. But that it didn't feel as robotic in this one. It felt like he was keeping on one image a long time and showing different images, creating actual set pieces sometimes, and kind of like, because he had this one shot with like a road and like he cut out the mountains and stuff, and then had the car here, and then the car is like veering off on the side of the road, and that's him saying like Subaru going off the wrong path, and wait, come back, kind of. And there was some stuff to that, and there was like I guess a Green Reaper, or there was some character, and it was smudged. Something was smudged, and he was wiping the smudge off as he was talking and stuff like that. There was like kind of a little bit of an animation itself to it, which made the visual component that much more compelling and original, unique. And I like that about his style. It's just always been really like frustrating to watch as a editor and as a viewer for me. It's never it was always too literal to me. It was never that clever, and like it just felt like a gimmick, right? But this actually feels like a purposeful style in this way, and I think he's been improving it over the past few months and stuff, and past few videos. Although this was coming off after kind of a little long break, like 4 months. His output significantly slowed down, and that's coming from, I think, his disillusionment with content creation, and like it seems like he's starting to hit a rut and some sort of burnout. He didn't explicitly say that, but he had this line where he's like this existential realization that this project you put a lot of work into doesn't get the traction, whatever, and stuff like that was I always like hearing that. It's kind of a soft spot for me, you know me, as someone who likes hearing about creators rather than the things that they're talking about. It's just, it's fascinating to me. I don't know, but that was interesting to hear, and I hope he's this got him a little more confidence, and the video seems to be doing okay. And so yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good video. I liked it. So this BennettTheSage video, Princess Mononoke, old man yells at anime. The old man yells at anime is important because he frames this whole video, beginning and ending, with Miyazaki being a grumpy old man, and he's a grump. It's a very typical impression of Miyazaki, and it's like there's it stinks. It's like but he spends 10 minutes on it, and he doesn't talk about Mononoke at all, and then he finally talks about it, and it feels just a regular Mononoke video. It's just, yeah, he likes it, and he's respecting. He's not giving outright wrong information most of the time. So there's one point I remember sticking out. He mentions how Mononoke, this is not the first time he's talked about man versus nature in very overt ways. I think he gives a clip of Ponyo, and then right after Ponyo, he gives a clip from Pompoko. And I went back and I was like, okay, wait, you say, like, he contextualizes the clip he's about to show with Miyazaki saying these things, and it's like, this is what Miyazaki, he's using Pompoko, a film directed by Isao Takahata, to say that Miyazaki focuses on man versus stop. Right? And I went into the comments seeing if anyone pointed this out as like, this is wrong information, this is misleading information, basically, because I found it, and he says that yes, it's an Isao Takahata film, but Miyazaki was involved in the planning and scripting of it. It's like, that is not the same thing as saying it is Miyazaki's films. It's not his film. It just isn't. It really, that doesn't excuse it. You could have used any of his other films. You could have used Nausicaa, Conan. I know Conan's not, like, Future Boy Conan isn't a film, but it's still directed by him. There's plenty that you could have used instead of an Isao Takahata film. Are you kidding me? And, like, he has this one image of, like, a lineage of, like, just from, because, like, he points this quote out by Roger Ebert, saying that Miyazaki is very distinct for having very expressive eyes and expressive mouths, and he's like, he's definitely not the first one to do that. And he basically makes this diagram of it's Disney with Betty Boop, with the guy who made Betty Boop, and that inspired Tezuka, who then inspired Miyazaki. And just showing that in context, in communicating that, he later cites a quote from Starting Point, one of Miyazaki's kind of not autobiography, I guess, but kind of very like personal writings from him. And he says, like, when Tezuka died, I'm not going to add my voice to the sympathies or anything like that, which is kind of a disrespectful thing to say. And so, to me, it seemed like Bennett was painting Miyazaki to be this hypocrite, because he's like, but you were inspired by Tezuka, but you're saying these things about him, and it's like, no, he obviously read manga as a kid, as a teenager, and Tezuka is the most prolific mangaka author of all time, like, prolific in terms of, like, how much he fucking made. Of course he's going to have an influence on Miyazaki in some way, as a lot of people did. It was just kind of the general style, but, like, as soon as Miyazaki got into animation, into the industry with Toei, of course he fell out of favor with Tezuka, because Tezuka made the rival company Mushi Production, and is the reason why we have such generally limited animation. And it's not, like, fluid the same way the early Toei films are. It's a whole history that of course Miyazaki is bitter towards towards Tezuka for, that a lot of people are. Like some people will say it's a necessary evil, and there are some merits to it, but it's like you did kind of ruin the magic in some way. There's reasons for Miyazaki to be bitter at Tezuka, and he completely ignores it. And it's like, and also that Tezuka is not the reason he got into animation. Like that diagram with like Betty Boop Disney to Tezuka to Miyazaki makes it seem that Miyazaki wanted to get into anime because of Tezuka, which is unbelievably not the case. Profoundly not the case. Like, Tezuka came in, I'm pretty sure Miyazaki was working at Toei before 1963. I know at least that Miyazaki was specifically influenced by White Serpent, Prince and the White Serpent, I don't know the full name, but it's a film from 1958 from Toei that he really, really, really liked and was the reason he joined Toei production and got into the anime industry. It wasn't because of Tezuka. I'm pretty sure it wasn't because of Tezuka. Like he says he's an influence by like his manga, but not by his anime, and it made it seem that it was by his anime, to me at least. The way he was structuring a lot of it. But I get that he may have done it, and that wasn't necessarily his intention or something, but it's like it's the way you communicate that. You really have to watch out for that sort of shit. That's just the thing for me. And but the reason it's not in the not good section for me is just that, I think he ultimately kind of stuck the landing with the ending of like, Mononoke, Miyazaki is an idealist as how he made Princess Mononoke. He's kind of an idealist and trapped in the kind of trapped in reality, and he became a pessimist for it. And he's basically using Mononoke as a vehicle to tell this idea of why Miyazaki is this grumpy old guy. Sorry. Why he's this grumpy old man or whatever. Which I think is a decent way to talk about it. It's not it's not like Bennett's trying to make this holistic video on Mononoke or anything, and he's not talking about the disaster stuff that influenced the making of this film, and the kind of the fact that Kondo was supposed to helmet, or I think it was Kondo supposedly was supposed to helmet, and then he died during production, I believe was the case, but I might be wrong on that too. I'm not trying to make the Mononoke video, okay? But yeah, it had a lot of elements that bothered me. But then I can't even say that much about the actual Mononoke discussion, because I feel like it's really just typical, like, yeah, man versus nature, and Ashitaka's stuck in the middle, and it just doesn't seem that pointed and special in that way. It doesn't feel like, you know what I mean? So, but I like the ending, and it's not like he has a really bad take on Mononoke or something. So that's at least a plus. God. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it, really. It is more frustrating to watch overall, but like the craft is still fine. I think it's still good. Yeah, and I wanted to talk about Kenny Lauderdale's video, Japan's First Superhero, the anime history of Golden Bat. And it's not really the anime history of Golden Bat. It's really just the history of Golden Bat, and he just packs in everything he could possibly find about Golden Bat. And this is so much up his alley of like really digging in and finding this stuff, and like really finding the origins of these things, and really getting a full idea. And it just seems to be an anime based on a couple of older films, and basically like way before manga was, they had like this Japanese tradition of pictures and people performing it, basically, and they had multiple pictures and they're sliding it. I've seen it in other places before, I think, but Golden Bat, I guess that was in those types of that style. I forget the name of it. But that like predates Superman and all that. So it's essentially Japan's first superhero, but one of the first superheroes worldwide is what he says. And he really hammers home this influence and really, really critical, popular, like, this is a really important thing, guys. It didn't really sell me all that much on its importance, because if it was really that important, wouldn't he have more than just a 60s anime and a couple older films? And like, he has not been brought back whatsoever into public consciousness. Like there was an attempt maybe apparently in the 2000s, but it was the origins are very mysterious, and it's like, okay. And two of the films are completely lost to time, like completely lost media. Like, are you kidding? To me, it was just like the lengths of obscurity that this has, it seems. And I guess that like that the anime itself was actually distributed in other countries, which is great to hear. It just seems that the actual prevalence of this character and this franchise doesn't seem to have that as much of an impact as I think Kenny is trying to sell it. And I think he's just trying to really sell it to you to kind of persuade you into it's important. Wow, I'll share the video and get you more views, and is kind of what it felt like to me. But it's still in his forte, and I like the positiveness he has in this video. Thank God. Like, again, I really don't think he's great when he's being super critical and really trying to skewer something. I really like the positive spin he has on this and really selling you the idea. And like, I did want to watch the anime when he was talking about it. I wish he talked more about the anime. I guess it's very simplistic and that's kind of all there is to it. But I don't know. It just seemed very simple. But yeah, the one of the points he really made was like, he says like, it shows up in Daikon 4 for one shot, like that last like 16 frames. And then it's in one of the boxes in the background of Otaku no Video. You know, the one that references lots and lots and lots of other ones. And it's like the same thing with Daikon 4. It's like, so and he basically says like, he frames those two and he's like, if that doesn't tell you it's one of the most legendary anime of all time, I don't know what will. And it's like, Daikon 4 and Otaku no Video, like two of the most referencing literally hundreds of characters at once and properties. Like, they don't even name drop. They don't even name drop Golden Bat in Otaku no Video, where they do that for several others. Like, there's way more like macros, and then like, you know what I mean? It's like, what? I really don't think it did. But so it's like, that was very unconvincing to me. But I did really like hearing about the history in general and really getting a firm understanding of it, I think. So I liked that. I did like that video from him. Now, before I talk about the big boy, I wanted to mention a video that hbomberguy linked to at the end of his Ruby video. I'll talk about the Ruby video in a second. How to parody anime music, writing a Ruby intro song with hbomberguy. Sugoi music parody with Tantacrul is the guy, and I liked the video. Great enough. Fuck me. Now, I was worried that this was going to be kind of derogatory and kind of like disrespectful of anime. I think I was worried about that, but it wasn't at all. My worries were very much unfounded. First impressions and things. It's really more of me being defensive, I guess. And he has a really amusing story of his experience with anime. How he was younger, and he wanted to record this midnight block in Ireland that was showing like Akira and all this schlocky stuff, which is kind of all he knew it as. Really, is very schlocky things. Which is very funny. I liked that sketch for sure, but took a while to get to the actual substance of the video, which is him making this OP for hbomberguy's Ruby video, which was pretty amusing and smartly produced in terms of like, yeah, it's very appropriate and in the style of a Ruby OP, but the title is very SEO friendly, but it's really more like how to parody Ruby's OP, pretty much. Talking about the software he used, the stylistic choices, the lyrics, selecting a singer. I went into a lot of decent nuance, and I really liked that. And the final result is pretty accurate, I think. So I liked this video from him a good deal, and it wasn't super like anime music or something like that. It was more like Ruby, pretty much. He makes at one point how it's like anime lyrics are often very nonsense, and he does say it's because of the translation oftentimes, and it's like, okay, fair enough. But it's like, yeah, eh, I don't wholly disagree, but it's hard to take something like that where it's like it's a generalization. You don't want to be super, because it might leave a kind of a negative impression on or a, a preconception. But it wasn't that bad, so I was like, okay. So yeah, I that was a good side companion to an aspect of this much bigger video, that I am putting in decent, because like ultimately it's kind of a, I don't know. Yeah, it was okay. I don't know if I have the positive or negative things to take away from it. I love hbomberguy. I love his content a lot, and I was happy to see this big video from him, and I thought it could be something that rivals Adam's Kimba video. And to me, this one was more entertaining on a moment-to-moment basis, but ultimately, I think Adam's was far more holistic and valuable in terms of like really getting an understanding of Kimba as a franchise and tackling this very widely misinformed perspective about it. And I think there was a much more constructive video overall, whereas this is just hbomberguy's opinion. It's like, okay. And I also don't have as much of a stake in Ruby specifically, and it didn't feel as holistic either for how long it is. It's 2.5 hours. He only talks about the first 3 seasons. It doesn't talk about the rest of it. But I think there were a lot of interesting choices made here, in terms of like really framing it as like, look, a lot of people are going this out of bad faith and criticism and things like that. And the creators are always focusing on the really bad criticism and never taking the points into consideration, that they're saying, and really framing it the right way. And so I like all the prep work that he does. I know it does take a while for him to really lay the groundwork of like, yes, I am trying to do the utmost respect for Montiome, and he really respects his work and never never shades the guy. I think without like glorifying him either. Like Montiome did no wrong. I think he really, I think he takes Montiome's like the realities of his role in the production and what he did on an objective stance, where he just created an action set piece, or he invented a character very suddenly, and the writers had to figure it out. And that does it's like, yeah, that's to be expected, and it's not necessarily something that I think warrants like taking him to town or whatever. It's like that was a bad idea or something. It's like, well, the writers could have, they didn't want to trample on his vision either. But if they really wanted to be like, hey, this is kind of hard to do, this is kind of unreasonable of you to demand of us, I guess. I don't know, but there's certain things that he doesn't sugarcoat Montiome, but he never disrespects the guy, which is very tasteful, I think. And he handles it really well, I think. And there was genuine care put into it in terms of like the criticism and like really wanting it to be good and liking it. Yeah, I think it was pretty good. The one thing I wanted to mention, because it's like, oh, Ruby's not an anime or whatever, and so why am I talking about it kind of deal? Yeah, I don't necessarily believe Ruby is an anime, but it is anime adjacent, in terms of its stylistic influences. And hbomberguy really talks about some of the anime that it's taking from, and the not so anime, like Avatar, and it's like it's the same thing where it's very anime adjacent, of course, but very wholly original and very good. I don't think saying it's not anime means it's not good. I don't think anybody is saying that. Like, what the fuck? We can say it's not anime and respect it. I don't know. But like, I really like the point that he expounded upon, and it wasn't a term that he made up. Basically, the writers had anime homework, and Montiome basically gave them anime to watch, and in order to like get the idea of what he wanted to make. And so there's very specific, and they answer this in a Reddit anime. It's like, here is our anime homework that Montiome says that he gave us. They call it anime homework. And, I don't think Bomberguy so much cuts into like, this is what they took from Bleach, etc. But it's more like, why did they do that, and what's kind of the issue they run into when doing something like that, where they like the aesthetic of the opening to the Cowboy Bebop movie, and they want to emulate that in their series, the first episode of their series, but they don't really they don't get some of the details right, like a game of telephone basically, and there's things that are lost in translation as a result, and things don't go as smoothly and it's not as effective as a series as it could have been. And really praising like the trailers and stuff and like the concept of Ruby, but then really taking to town. Oh my god, the whole faunus thing, like the demi humans that are like part animal. I forget the name of them. I'm not a Ruby person at all, but like him really discussing how really problematic and like they really shouldn't have done that. They really shouldn't have made that a subplot at all, or just they really didn't need to be there, kind of deal. They do a lot of bad. He really goes hard on them, to be honest, with the same kind of humor, and like it was an engaging video all the way through for me. For how long it is, it didn't feel like 2 hours, honestly, which is a good thing. I would hope. Please, as someone making a 2-hour video as of this moment. Anyway, yeah, but I liked it. But it wasn't like pushing us like, wow, I don't know. The more I watched it the day it came out, so it's been a couple of days since then. I'm not as hot on it right now for me. But I liked it. I was very happy to see that. Good. Very good. Okay. Right here, I think I'm going to say the best quote unquote videos of the week that I thought were really good. Okay. Guys. So this is an account called Account. And there's no profile picture and there's no sub count. I don't think there's any sub count. Just watch Chihaya Furu. I'm like, wait, when was I subbed to this person? Like, how did I find this person? Turns out you might know them. And I guess they don't want to broadcast it or make it like a big deal. I think she says her name. She says her name in the video though, so it's not like she was trying to make it secretive or something. But I found out through the comments first, and then she says it in the video. I'm like, oh, it's Suin. I don't know if you guys remember Suin. She was on Potaku, and very early YouTuber. Hasn't made video in a while. Has very few videos on her channel overall, and seems to have been very, I don't know what's really going on, but I remember her dabbling with motion stuff in After Effects, like making manga move and stuff like that, and that sort of effect, and she's great at that, and it applies really well in this Chihaya Furu video that like is one of the best Chihaya Furu videos I've watched out of the ones I've watched at all. It's like I hadn't seen the show, but I've consumed like 1 or 2 videos of it. But like, I really liked this. This was focusing more on the dynamic of Chihaya, Taichi, and the other guy, the quote unquote love triangle. But it's not boiled down to that at all. I don't think it's really just 3 characters that have a very strong dynamic with each other, which I like listening to. And she focused on that specifically, using the anime and mostly the manga, actually, which was like, it's weird that this is called Just Watch Chihaya Furu when it's also read Chihaya Furu, because it's like, well, it seems to be very much manga focused too. Not very spoilery either. I didn't feel like there was very much spoilers. It's really just kind of talking about their dynamic of these 3 characters with really, really good visual presentation with the manga panels, and integration with the anime, and really talking about it, like really leading you through it, and with a lot of great moments and stuff. And it's a really engaging video on a visual level. She's a great video maker, and the substance itself is really good too. I mean, I'm not very invested in Chihaya Furu, so I can't judge so much on the quality of the accuracy or the quality of what she's talking about, but it was engaging the whole way through. And I think the visual component really stepped this one notch above for me to be like, well, fuck, that was really good. So I really liked that. I wanted to shout that out. quote unquote welcome back, I guess. But she's not making much of a fanfare of it, so I'd like to respect that as much as possible, I guess. But that was good shit. That was really good shit. Well, we finally made it. Yeah, I mean, of course I'm going to talk about WatTheWut's AniTube only podcast. Of course. Like you talked about Digest in that one, and to be honest, I'm probably going to make this the last one that like I'm not going to feel obligated to talk about a video because Digest is somehow integrated or referenced in it. Which has happened, which has compelled me to put several videos in Digest. That's obviously my bias for sure. It makes me compelled to discuss it and be reciprocal, because one of the reasons I made this series was to be a conversation and to have a dialogue and to respond to things. So if Digest is having a tangible effect on the community, I want to continue that conversation and be reciprocal in that way. But I don't want to inherently because I mean, I didn't talk about Digi's video about AniTube Digest specifically discussing it and her views of anime YouTube at the time that she made it, and talking about Digest, which I really liked and really appreciated. I don't remember if I talked about. I don't think I did. I think I made a point not to, because I was trying to practice that kind of restraint, because I think it's just too obvious. I think it's just too I don't want it to be about Digest necessarily, this whole thing. And so I've been restraining myself making a separate video about the intentions of AniTube Digest and really clarifying some things. I just want it to be Digest, I guess. But a video like this really rocked my fucking socks in terms of people's impressions of it and WatTheWut's criticisms of it. It was really affecting me, which I really appreciated. And I'm sure he was expecting something like this, so it's well, no shit. I mean, for one thing, their talk about tier lists and how kind of popularity contest it feels, and the inherent leaving out the feeling of being left out of a tier list and being ranked above each other and being objective in that way, as not being a very welcoming and a bit of an elitist. I'm not sure if that. I'm sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth at any point. This is just the impression I got, so it's you can't really help that. I don't think. I could watch. It's a 2-hour podcast. I'm sorry, but the idea of a AniTube tier list, it was really getting to me, and I was yeah, I guess I'm not gonna make one. That was my intention with because I like making tier lists. I like the selection process and the ability to make one, and championing good ones, and then really having my say. It's a very shorthand way of lending an opinion of sort of things, and it's an engaging thing to do, I think. But I get it's very disheartening for other people, and it's a little weird and biasy and popularity there's other problems. I think the cons kind of outweigh the pros, at least it seems to me. So I've been pretty discouraged to make one, but that's not a bad thing, I don't think. I'll just figure something else out. I was thinking a top list or something. And again, that's another qualitative this above this other person, but it's more I'm probably, I don't know. I'll figure something out, but I want to veer even further away and make this more clear to you, because apparently it didn't come through that much in your guys' discussing with Digest. And there's obviously more that they talk about. They are specifically making this podcast in response to the Trash Taste podcast, them talking about small anime YouTube, and I made a thread on it, and that's as much as I wanted to say, because I wanted to be very concise with what I said. I didn't want to talk off the cuff like I am now. But yeah, there's things about that was tough to listen to, and some things that I thought were problematic or whatever, but it got me to making that thread and responding to it, allowed me to connect with Connor, and who watches Digest, and talk with him, and he was really great. And that's as much as I want, really, is just to be able to connect with more people and to have more people to talk to, I guess, because I really like that. That's something I look forward to. That's one of the reasons I made this. One of the several reasons I made this is so that people can hear from me instead of just another comment on a video or a tweet or something. You know what I mean? I think there's just a stronger connection this way. And so that's what I like about it. Then there's other reasons for sure. But yeah, I I liked hearing from everybody here. I'm sorry, Onimaru, if I haven't mentioned you on Digest yet. I am subscribed, and it just happens that it just, I don't know. I actually looked at your channel and I'm like, that's so weird. None of these videos look that familiar to me, and I don't know why. It might be one of those things. You remember how like you subscribe to someone and then they don't show up in your subscription box, something like that. Maybe I'll probably ring the bell if that's the case, but like I'll keep looking. But there might have been something like that where it's like, yeah, I don't know why I haven't talked about your stuff. It's not like I'm not interested. It's just like, oh, that's weird. I like to talk about as many people as possible and have a wide understanding of anime YouTube. So I apologize if I haven't mentioned you. And then I am subscribed to r/anime podcast, but it's been going for so long. It's weird for me to talk about a random episode of it for me personally. If there's a subject that you guys talk about that I'm specifically interested in, then maybe. But I'm supportive of your guys' podcast. I was on for the LGH Denoye Tez episode, which I was very happy to be on. I was happy to make those connections with you guys, even though I've really only stayed it with Shocking mostly, in terms of Twitter mutuals and stuff. But yeah, no, I loved hearing from Shocking. She's a great podcaster. Like she's in this podcast being run by WatTheWut, but I felt like she was driving a lot of the conversation, really asking certain questions of people. As someone who is kind of in a different zone and stuff. And I liked the points she was making. I like what everyone was talking about. I'm sorry I'm not talking about Vinny and Numanji and Taser. Or what? I guess I'm sort of addressing what in terms of if I mentioned the Ratatouille video on AniTube Digest just because Mr. Cynical has made anime videos before, yeah, I'm going to talk about it because I wanted to mention, and I didn't even mention it that much. Like that particular video, I know I just mentioned it because like I know he'd been working on it for a while, and I watched and I liked it. I also I gave it a very detailed discussion of his Star Wars video. That's also not anime. I realize that. And I think it's in the description that it's like, it's either an anime video or a YouTuber that usually does anime makes a video that I watched that I was like, yeah, cool. There's manga video, or it's anime adjacent or something. If it's a Japanese related thing, I might, if I find it interesting enough, it's a completely subjective thing. I might be using objectivist language, but anyway, I'm sorry to make it such a big deal. It's been weighing on my mind this week for sure. When the actual time comes in when we're watching all the videos, it's such a great time, and I love making these, and I love talking about them. But through the rest of the week, I always have this like, I feel like there's a responsibility, and I don't want it to feel like that. I don't want to feel like an obligation to make Digest or to make this is a better video than this video or something like that. I really don't feel like dealing with that or being an authoritative figure on the subject. Like, yeah, I watch a lot of anime YouTube videos, but I'm sure there's other people who don't have a platform like this that watch way more than I do and have way better objectionable ideas and standard. I don't know. Like, there's probably, but like, this is just me. And I don't want it to be objective. This is coming from Anthony Fantano's series of Weekly Track Roundup, and that's how he structured his videos, and they're very clearly just his opinion, and they're structured like this as worst and best of the week because that's just the flow I would like it to be, and I think it's compelling in that way. You stay for for roasting of what's a bad video or something. People like hearing that from me. People have enjoyed my occasional rant and me being angry and flustered by something, and then talking about mostly best stuff. I like save the best for last sort of deal. Even the idea of saving this one as best for last, that I've had that for for most of the other videos, but there was a certain conflict that arose that I don't want to bother with again. I don't like it, and I don't want to be this arbiter of like this was the best one or something. So I'm kind of mostly nixing it and putting this in whatever order I give a fuck about. Whatever will be kind of ambiguous, I suppose. So the last one is not necessarily the best one anymore. But yeah, if you know, I want to be as less if this came off to you as objectionable, not objectionable, but objectivist, me using objectivist language, it's purely out of being compelling, and I'm really not trying to be an authority on anything. And I guess I'm not, I'm not going to pick apart. I don't want to try to pick apart everything you said. I didn't write it down or something. I'm not that obsessive about it. But yeah, and it's that was kind of it. But it's like, yeah, this gave me a lot to think about. It wasn't that it was this was just about Digest, but obviously that's what stuck out to me. But the rest of it, I liked the discussion a good deal. I hope it continues. I think it's great that something like this happened, because that something like Trash Taste happened to where it spawned something like this, because I like hearing from you guys. I think there's a general good pool. Like, you guys, some of you have been friends for a while, so it really shows, and there's a nice camaraderie and a banter there. And I think exposing that to an audience, because you guys obviously have Weeb Club as well. But yeah, it's like, it was good to see that. I enjoyed it very, very much. Sorry if I'm not as detailed other than the Digest stuff, but that's what sticks out to me. Haha, that's what it be. And so, yeah, I'm going to talk about hiding in public's face reveal. Where it's like, what? It's just a face reveal. But it's like, no. Hiding in public does actually do a lot more to it. It's not just his face or something, or just an update video or something. He, as usual, really turns it into an introspective deep dive into himself and revealing himself, and really showing the kind of the effect that this has had on him, making these videos, and why he makes them, and the process of like having real friends versus real friends is in real life, and then the friends that he makes in the content he's made, and being able to communicate his passion for various anime and video games that he has, and being able to communicate that, and coming out of his shell and having more confidence in himself. How like he felt like he was a burden to everybody, and really taking several years to overcome that feeling of feeling like a burden was really compelling. And I'm happy that it seems that he's found a way to he's found that outlet that's a successful outlet and a powerful outlet that has really changed his life, and has I like to think he made him a better person. It's not like he was a shitty person before, or a worthless person before he made his YouTube channel. Not at all. But it's definitely a source of confidence, and a sense of belonging in a place here. And he's found talent here, his own talent and his own expression, and he's finding ways to improve himself. Like, it's something to set himself as a goal to achieve, and he's achieved a really significant milestone. I hope from here it doesn't feel like, because it feels like he set a lot of emphasis on 100K, and I hope from there it doesn't, like, in terms of his passion for it, in terms of like, yeah, I hope he wants to grow even more and try to get 200K and whatnot, because he deserves it. I think he puts so much work in, and everybody that has these other bigger platforms, he's no different, I think. And it's fantastic to see that confidence in him. And to see his face, of course, and that's a very bold thing to do. I remember starting Digest was the first time I was going to show my face, and that was very difficult as well. And like, kind of like, it's like, God, what are the fucking comments going to say? But yeah, and I have no complaints apparently. Like, I wanted to mention, it's not that I put your videos in decent and like there's the one sticking point or something. Some of the videos that I put in this week's decent category, I don't have any problems with. I didn't really have anything that I can say was like, I wish this was better, or this is a wrong thing or something. Sometimes that's the case, but other times it's like, yeah, I have no reason not to put it in best, but I'm not, because that's just not what I'm feeling. That's not the personal impact on me or something, and there's no way to quantify that. And that was just how I felt about your videos. It wasn't necessarily like the one thing, and then actually I was wrong about that one thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, I probably was. I guess I was. The one time I watch your video, the one and done sort of thing. It just ends up being like that. But I'm not putting you in. I know that you think it's like, okay, so then you put me in best just to make this. No, uh, make this point. Not really. It really was that like I really enjoyed seeing your face. It was entertaining. No. It was just really great seeing this particular side of you and really getting to get a better understanding of yourself, and better further communicate yourself to your audience, which includes me. And I'm very happy to know you on a more personal basis in terms of like who I am, and we talk on voice chat all the time. That's I never like I don't want to take that for granted. I really I'm happy to say that we're mutuals in some way, even though we're not mutuals on Twitter. And I get why. I know why. I understand. No, but like I'm very happy to say that I'm that I'm as close to you as I am, I guess. I don't know why I'm struggling to say friend. I don't want to make a bold claim like that, I guess. But I hope I can say that. I hope I can say I'm your friend. I like that, you're my friend. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to make it the assumption, I guess. What do I say? Whatever. Anyway, good shit, dude. I'm very happy for your success. Congratulations. And looking forward to the next one. Whatever, dude. It was good shit. Yeah, there it is. This is Beyond Ghibli video. And I'm going to talk about it because I liked it a lot, of course. Especially the Best of Bite-Size Anime is the title. And I did have some input in this and helping him like kind of realizing the thumbnail a little more. And right? Can you imagine me having some thumbnail advice? Me? Ew. How? No, but and then having recommending him some shorts, and I'm happy that one of my suggestions made it into his final result. A piece of Phantasmagoria, really cool short. Holy shit! And I liked the format of the video a lot, and I was happy to be kind of a closer confidant in terms of like. It's like, man, I think he just messages me one time where he's like, man, this is a 30-minute video, fuck, or whatever. And I'm very happy to be able to talk to you a lot. Like seriously, you're so fucking cool, dude. And I love your content. The way your intros are getting better and better. It's scary. It's like how much better can this guy get at fucking introduction paragraphs in terms of not just like in terms of the writing, but especially in terms of the usage of clips and the music selection, and it's so strong, dude. I think they're way stronger. I think that they're really great. But I like the selection a lot here. It is a combination of like kind of expected picks like Gakko-chan, Luluko, Agretzko, but pretty much every other one besides Phantasmagoria, because that was the one I recommended, but like the other ones, I can't even remember their names. Like one of them was like a robot thing, like Fire. I don't remember. I don't even remember their names, dude, because it's like they were completely unfamiliar to me. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck are these? And it was valuable. I think for like those of you guys who are like, yeah, but I'm versed in anime. I know the shows. I know the show. There are several deep cuts on here. I was like, what is that? I mean, Yamano Susume I was aware of. Encouragement of Climb, I did know that one. But there were several, like there was one about like a food, about like one girl going to a bunch of different restaurants. And there's been other shorts like that, but I have never seen that one. It had the character had a very distinct character like design to her. And it looked good. And I think you were selling on all of them as good as you do usually. And to be honest, your video just maybe was like, fuck it, I have to finally watch Gakko-chan. It was only like a 5-minute segment of yours, like out of a big video and stuff. But I was like, yeah, I really should watch Gakko-chan. And I did. I watched all of it in like one sitting. It was good. Thank you for recommending that. Good shit. But of course, yeah, so it's like, I love that you talked about super obscure stuff, like really deep cuts, actually. It was like, whoa. Not like deep cuts that I knew of. I didn't even know some of them. Like, what? So that was really good. And there's others that you left on the cutting room floor and a lot more shorts and everything. I don't know if you'll do a part 2. I don't know how much your audience wants a part 2 or something, but like, It's not out of the realm of possibility. Maybe a yearly thing, perhaps. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool to kind of revisit, maybe. In terms of like, your growth as a creator and like constantly making videos and stuff, I'm sure a year might go by, and you'll see this video and it's like, oh, I could do another one of these, and maybe take the things that I've learned, and apply them to more shorts that I find, and other things like that. I don't know. Kind of an interesting idea. I'm just saying. Not like I would want you to watch a particular short that I recommended to you and you didn't even watch or something. Not that I would want to make a sequel because of that at all. Not at all. There's so much fucking lampshading in this digest. It's kind of sickening. It's kind of like, God, Shames, like, just don't say it if you're gonna. Why are you bringing these points up? You're gonna kneecap yourself. I might have, but I want to be as authentic as possible in terms of like really communicating what I'm feeling and stuff on these. So there's the game. If I say some dumb shit, whatever. But I liked that a good deal, of course. Thank you for making it. Jesus, it's really hard to end. God. Pause and Select put out 2 videos this week. At the same time, like, I think they were consecutive uploads, each over 30 minutes, like, fully made videos. And they were videos that he was making for Anime North, and I hope those were successful. I don't know how, because they're great videos, holy shit. But I wanted to put in the apocalyptic one, specifically because I think it was slightly better structured, I guess. And you explained in the Isekai one very well why that's the case, because I really liked the way you talked about the Isekai, how, like, it's still the Wild West. A lot of them aren't done. And I love that's how you end the video. It's very open-ended. He's like, well, yeah, neither are a lot of isekai. And that's you sell that as you communicated that as a selling point to me. As like, that's a part of their, not like part of their appeal necessarily, but like, that's a very understood point about them, that like, and it's still developing process, a developing situation. And I really liked that point for sure. I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. And it completely negates my problems with isekai. It's like my reason is this, I don't like that they don't end. I don't like that they're just open-ended. What the fuck is it going to be? That's my issues with it. But I like that that wasn't necessarily the case. I was like, oh, yeah, that completely makes sense. Holy shit. I just noticed my camera is in like a beam of light, and I wonder if I move it, I'm going to be less soft looking. Yeah, that's a lot better. God damn it. But I was going... This is actually brings me to a good point with camera placement. I think you're getting even better with like filming yourself and talking the scripts and everything. And it's definitely going through here, but maybe because you were making these for Anime North or something, but like, I'm telling you, man, ever since you've been putting the camera and filming yourself, I just feel like the scripts have been a lot more easier to follow and to like hear and understand what you're saying. I think it's just adding to clarity so much, and I really like it. And the lighting was great, especially in this apocalyptic video where it was changing throughout the script. So it was changing to match the points, like the paragraphs you had set. That was so great. Oh my God. I just love the structure of this video, how you really went from kind of the impetus and going through each of these works. They kind of had like a tent pole of sorts of a work that was important. But yeah, like it was so easy to follow, interesting to follow. I can't believe you made these in a day each. I'm so mad. Well, granted, I don't think all of this was necessarily made from scratch. I recognized some assets from in the isekai video that were from your isekai series. So I don't necessarily, so like, you're not completely making these things from scratch. So you're not that much of a god, I think. But still, this is incredible that you're able to make these in such a short turnaround. It was incredible. I love it. I'm very happy to hear that like, the expediency just feels like you're getting better. And maybe that's just like, your upload schedule from in the past has been pretty sparse sometimes, but it just feels it's been more active lately. like I feel like I'm talking about you more and more often, and I am talking about pretty much every upload you make because it's like, yeah, you're one of my favorite anime YouTubers, obviously. So of course I'm going to talk about every single thing you make. Duh. No, but yeah, God, I loved it. I unfortunately don't have as much else to say about it. It really was super clear. I think it was awesome. I'm sorry if I don't have as many specifics to say, really. But like you're getting better at a lot of the stuff, and it just like it's awesome. Yeah, great analysis. My zone. I'm out of my zone. I have to say, this is a really good Mother's Basement video. Japan Sinks 2020 is awesome, actually. And I will say it's partly a bias on my end because I'm wired the way it's like I want underdogs to succeed. Not in the Mother's Basement way, but in Japan Sinks way. Like, there was something about Japan Sinks that when it was getting initially received on Twitter, and everyone hated it, and it seemed to be a real massive L. Anyone who was kind of detracting from that and really making a positive statement about it, I was kind of on their side inherently, even though I hadn't seen it. I still haven't seen it myself. I probably should, but I'm just kind of like out of it by now. And I'm also spoiled to it, but who cares? Spoilers, whatever. But this is seriously really good. I think this is kind of the definitive. So as of right now, I know Paz is actually making an actual Japan Sinks video. But I think this is also very accessible too, like in terms of, because like Jeff doesn't just talk about the merits of Japan Sinks on its own of what he really liked about it, but he really tackled every major criticism of it in terms of like, I've seen detractors say this about it, and here's my defense of those decisions. And like, I liked how he worded them too, that they're not wrong necessarily. I think he was very respectful of detractors, where it's like, yeah, it's a very messy show, and like there's one point where he's like, yeah, I did not like them at my first watch. I just felt that this and that about them. But he really sells you, and it's like, this is what they were going for. This is why they did the thing. For example, like the main character doesn't treat her wound, and it seems like a very irrational decision when it's getting worse and worse, and then she has, I will not try to spoil it myself. But, Jeff communicating that is like, no, this is what they were building towards. And this is the reason why she's doing that. And it's irrational to outsiders like us. But in her mind, this is what she's doing. It's an irrational decision, but that's what her character is. And he was really selling that, and really convincingly, and not in a way that felt like it was droning all over the place. Like, I just felt like a lot of Jeff's writing is difficult for me to digest because it's AniTube Digest. It's tough for me to really consume because it's so verbose and not verbose and like vernacular like pause, like Joe's work. But I'm sorry I abbreviated to pause. But it's whatever. Okay, shut up. But like, it's not verbose in terms of the vernacular, in terms of the word choice, I guess. But it's just like, it's not compelling. There's something about it there. It's not like, I don't know. It's a very intangible quality to me. It just feels like it kind of goes in one ear, out the other sort of thing. And I can't tell you a specific thing about it that does that for me. Maybe because I've watched your videos for years at this point. I can't believe that. You've been making videos for years and stuff. And maybe I'm just like kind of overused to that or something. I don't know. But this one was especially compelling to watch and to listen to. And I do say watch because I was seeing on Twitter that Nice specifically made a point of like really trying to experiment and try to push the editing boundaries with this video. So I was excited to watch it on those fronts. And it is really polished and really good looking. I like the circle transitions you're doing a lot. There was one little ripple effect you had like under the surface. I noticed that. I was like, oh yeah, cool. And some of the cuts, some of the masks you're doing for the transitions, you're like a pole going across like here, or like Kite's parachute going down and it transitions to a different scene, stuff like that. Good fucking props. I love that shit. I'm trying to include that shit in my videos too. Although it's very hard to get imaginative in that way and then really motivate yourself to do those edits where it's like, yeah, but I have to do all that shit. You have to, sometimes you have to take some L's. It's like, that'd be too much, or it's like, that's doable. I can do that in a couple of minutes or something. Or like, that's, feasible. That's a feasible thing for me to make, basically. So I felt that a lot in your videos, and there was in the video, and there was a little AMV montage that you shared on Twitter too, and then I saw in the context of the video, and it's like, yeah, this is really nice. I'm happy to see that, and that I got through copyright stuff. I had the similar. I have a similar situation having to go on with my videos, but that's a sport. You'll see that, I guess. But it's not. It doesn't come. I should say it doesn't work nearly as well. I need to figure something else out. I actually should. It does. It's very unpleasant. I should figure something else out. Anyway, but yours came out really great, actually. But yeah, like it's mostly clip selection still. I don't know if there's. I also like the little edit with talking about Yuasa's work and how like they don't look the same. And there was a footage from Tatami Galaxy of him looking at a projector, and he was looking at footage of Kaiba. That was cool. That was really nice. You know, I want to highlight these very specific edits because I know you worked on them and you really had this imaginative idea and you wanted to do that sort of thing. So I want to give you proper credit for that. So those are the ones that I remember off the top of my head that I didn't like write down. I was like, and then he did this. I see. You know, I wasn't trying to like, you know, really go into it in that respect. But I don't think Jeff slouched on this either. I think Jeff really pulled through with this. I think it's really great. I think it's a really good, positive take on Japan Sinks. And you could disagree with it. I know people who's like, no, it's fucking garbage, dude. And you know, he's wrong in some other way. But I think he acknowledges a lot of the problems people had with it and then kind of justifying them in his own way. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it was excellent. And we're going to save this bad boy for last. It's Best Guy Ever. Processing human error in Ghost in the Shell. Best series ever. Very bold thumbnail. It's very striking. I'm not 100% sure if it works. I like it. I do like it. But you know, it's like the more you look at it, it's like certain things about it for sure. But I like that you went for it for sure. Although it's a little deceptive in terms of the titling and the thumbnail, because this is just discussion of the 2017 movie, which when I heard about that before watching the video, I was a little disappointed by. You know, this is something that Nate's been teasing since 2015. He said he would do this at the end of his Girl Logon video, which was 4 years ago, or close to 5. But you know, in hindsight, I was happy to have heard that before watching the video, actually, because I was able to temper my expectations and not try to like go into it as like, yeah, no, there's more to it. He said there was a part 2, and okay, good. Because if I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. I would have been like, oh, that's it? What the fuck? But going into that with the previous knowledge of that, I think I enjoyed it a lot more. It definitely had his personality in it more than I thought the other video, I think, with Smash, I think had. I had been told that this is partially edited by somebody, or at least edited by somebody else. And then I think he obviously has a hand in the editing, of course. But this definitely felt more like from him in terms of the editing, I think. It felt a lot more like charismatic and funny and punchy and engaging the whole way through. It really didn't feel like 46 minutes of him talking about this crappy Ghost in the Shell movie that he didn't like, obviously, at all. But like, he had very good rational decisions. He was very level-headed in discussing it in terms of like, look, I get you're going to be like, yeah, it's very easy target. This is very like, and I could talk about the controversy, but he handles the controversy, quote unquote, very, very poetically. Kind of just throwing shit at it is like, no, invalid. Not like, it's like very wrong. I love that Mamoru Oshii quote he pulled where he's like, what are you talking about? And then so Oshii's like, there's no controversy. And like, yes, king. But there was a lot of, but I should finish that point. He also ended the video with a very well-written parody song of You'll Be Back from Hamilton, which I liked, and he sang very well. And I think a lot of people were surprised by that, but I don't know where I got the idea, but I felt like you did know how to sing. I felt like that was expected of you. I was like, oh, I'm not surprised. I don't know why I'm not surprised. I wonder if there was another video you did that had singing in it. I don't remember, or where I got that idea, but I felt like it wasn't like whoa or something like that. But it was very well executed, very well sung, very very well written in terms of being faithful to what you're parodying, but also really sharply discussing the subject of the shitty controversy. And it's like you're just doing this for clicks and shit, and you don't actually care about Ghost in the Shell. Like, these are not Ghost in the Shell fans that are complaining about this at all. Like, you're completely missing the point, and I liked that a lot. And I like that he was able to incorporate a lot of his passion for the franchise in terms of his passion for the manga, for Standalone Complex, and some analysis of the movie, the 1995 movie, into this review. And I was like, I don't know why you would start with this personally. I when I was starting the video and when I had heard about it, I was like, why would you start with that? What the fuck? But this was actually a really smart way to do it in terms, because his justification was people don't know where to start, and he's like, let's start with kind of the more topically relevant, at least at the time when he started making it. I think it was a very good idea to jump in at that point, but it obviously is years ago at this point that it came out. But I think it was very smart in that way, but also like framing it as was supposed to be this quote unquote starting point for a lot of people, but also as a way to really flush out the negative shit right at the beginning. Because I think if he did this chronologically and went like manga and and kind of went chronologically in that way, I don't think it would be a little more typical of him. I think it would have just been a lot more predictable, and it would have ended on a sour note, all things considered. Like, I feel like 2045 it would be the new quote unquote right. So this wouldn't have necessarily been the ending point. But it gives me confidence that the way he's going to present this series to us is going to be inherently artistic and unpredictable, and not like tired of like, here it is chronologically, like very like standard. I think is very sharp and pointed, and really gets to the analyzing this movie really gets to the bottom of why he likes Ghost in the Shell at all and why he likes it so much. And I'm just repeating myself. God damn it. But it was great. I was very happy watching this. I was not looking forward to it, to be honest with you. I was happy he was finally making that Ghost in the Shell video he always was promising. But when that's 2017, I'm like, oh, what the fuck, whatever. And I'm sure it'd be fine, but I would probably have some problems with it. But no, it had the exact kind of effort and character that I like about his content a lot. And I like the introduction a lot too, like his the personality he was showing through that, and it's very creative and immediately charismatic. Immediately, like, you're on this guy's side in terms of like trying, agreeing with him kind of deal. I think that's kind of important with persuasive YouTube videos, right? You kind of have to kind of agree with, be on their side and convince them in that way. So I like that charismatic feeling from him. And I think it was a great move. I think it was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. I'm not bullshitting you. I think it was awesome. I'm looking forward to the rest of it if it ever comes out. And that's kind of the one downside for me. It's like, it's one part, but I feel it a lot. And I think there was another, and I was thinking about this too, where it's like, he has this series and he also has the Final Fantasy video he wanted to make. I think I heard something like he wanted to make this big Final Fantasy video, like Final Fantasy VII Remake sort of deal, and talking about it. But I hope he's waiting. He's not touching that idea and that video idea until the rest of it comes out. I really hope that's the case, because it's like, just do one big project at a time, dude. It's like, you can do I think that it's great that you're focusing on the Ghost in the Shell thing now, and you're really getting to brass tacks, and you're really starting to really take this seriously. Not that you haven't before, right? But this just seems like a new, you know what I mean? Like, the We Aqua thing was what it be, and like a lot of people were starting to kind of be like, wishy-washy about it, I guess. I don't know, in terms of like people following you and your content. But this was kind of coming back into form for me, for me. For me. For me, it was a return to form for you. That I was like, yeah, this is the kind of content I know you can make, and this is the good shit. I liked it a lot. Thank you so much for watching this episode of AniTube Digest. I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, thank you to my patrons who make all of this possible and continue to be awesome, including Beamburst, Aiko, Flugmorph, Hazel, Jawburst, Kuiper, Conra, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Unique Namosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good week. Yo, peace.